Yalla, infidels, stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Oh, no, that's how the Monday locker room rolls. That's right, infidels, we're back, hat to the back, ready to attack. RBV is back in the captain's chair, waiting for Dr. Beast to do the running, but it's Hacker Hameen after he rises again. Infidels, Zombie Jesus is back, and so are we. Live on YouTube, Ben Hameen channel. Yalla. Yeah, man. Hope you guys had a good weekend out there, Easter egg hunting or whatever you're doing. I got mad as hell on the golf course right out of the gate, cursing Jesus on his big resurrection day because he didn't help me on any 3 putts. But speaking of putts, our man is back. RBV, good to see you, pal. Real good to see you.
Hey, you know I wasn't going to miss this. I'm here to point at the sign and get a payday. It's Wrestlemania week, baby.
Yeah, man. Doesn't even that seem crazy? It doesn't even feel like it. I mean, after last year's debacle and then this piss poor build that we've had the last 3-4 weeks going into Mania and just a shell of what it used to be, you know?
And you really, I was on doing my record. We've got Rad Mania coming up this week. I know you participated in one of the shows. We're getting it started this afternoon as part of the HMG. I'm on that show. We did an incredible watch along with my favorite WrestleMania match. We went back to WrestleMania 7, Warrior and Savage.
Oh, nice.
It really the emotions and everything there. And it really made you think about going into this year's WrestleMania and your involvement in wrestling, been as a fan, as a pro, as in management. Have you ever been less enthusiastic about a WrestleMania?
No hype. And the story builds are ridiculous. And just what they're doing to their own talent is terrible. I mean, whether it's breaking up Hurt Business, Retribution, which had to go, but you could have done that at Mania. What they've done with Braun, with the slime and the hopscotch and the fucking report cards, the mailed in predicated promos, people who are in top storylines, Fiend, Alexa Bliss, and Randy Orton and Bliss don't give a shit. They'd rather be on Twitter arguing with rappers or posting snuggle pics with their fiance. Just if they don't care, why should your audience care? I mean, everything they do screams, we don't give a shit about this. The only one who's putting any effort into their creative, in my opinion, probably 2 people. I'd say Edge and Sami Zayn. Everybody else, from Charlotte getting told she's knocked up to releases to wherever it is, man, they just don't care. They're mailing it in. And from what I've heard, I'm sure we might cover some of it, of what Pops Bruce and Vince is now reigns supreme. And it goes against everything they did for the last 30 years. It's like they just turned into idiots overnight, and all of the booking that made them successful is right out the window. So 2 nights of just complete trash. Look at the girls build with Sasha and EST. It's about a guy from Cirque du Soleil named Reggie who does flips. After they had a great build with EST winning the women's Royal Rumble, and that's all been flushed down the shitter. So they get everything they deserve because they made their own bed, and I'm sure we'll get to it too, but the cock still on a rampage as well of ignorance and stupidity. So I don't expect much of a success going forward after WrestleMania. You thought ratings were low now. How do you expect to keep anybody?
Oh, absolutely. It's as you said, I mean, it just WrestleMania itself, 2 nights there. Oh. But WWE, I mean, we have got a stacked week of pro wrestling ahead of us. I mean, WWE themselves, we've got starting here on Monday, every day, something coming out of that company until next Monday night. Well, actually, till next Tuesday night, because you got NXT on the move.
Oh, so, yeah. NXT, Ray and I are switching there. So Impact's going to Thursday, but Ray and I are going to review NXT this week. Plus, you got Hall of Fame, which has all been pre-taped with no audience. And, when you got the Bellas going into the Hall of Fame, I mean, how rotten are we at this point, dude? Like, what have they done to earn it? Like,
You know what, though? I would argue with you on that, though. When we're talking about the storylines, the intrigue going into WrestleMania, I think part of the problem is the lack of superstars. I mean, the Bellas are more over, even in a crossover atmosphere than I would say 90% of this current crop of crew they got.
And I'd say you're right that they're more over in crossover, but they're still nobody gives a shit and wants to watch them. So if we're not even having the people that might be crossover that are going to be trash, where are we going to go? Like, none of those people, to be honest, Logan Paul has 10 times more draw than the Bellas do. And it's just lip service for somebody's wife, girls who've had terrible Brie mode and then dive through the ropes and land on your head. That's the highlight of what they bring to the show. Just who's going to die next. Nobody's like, they're the best wrestlers. They're the best promo. In fact, they're probably the worst that ever did it. And because they're twins and because they, married their way to the top and were brought in as models, Johnny Ace brought in to be side pieces for the boys. Now we got to, in less than 15 years, they're in the Hall of Fame. That's just asinine, and the Hall of Fake, really, because there is no Hall of Fame.
I think that just speaks more to the state of their roster and where the business is now. That the people like the Bellas are the bigger stars. Speaking of,
my point is they're not stars.
I know that, but I mean,
let's stop giving them a gravitas that they
inside of pro wrestling. I guess
I don't think
the WWE, because
I don't think they are. There's 100 other names that are on that induction list before them. And if Daniel Bryan's wife wasn't,
look at that criteria. I guarantee you, we go out to your favorite place. We go out to the mall and we start looking at Q ratings that the Bellas are going to outscore almost the entire current crop of WWE superstars.
Maybe just for people who know them, nobody's going to go, that was
no one's going to start breaking down, hey, remember that WrestleMania moment or something like that.
Right. But just being noteworthy because of Dancing with the Stars and being a knockoff Kardashian C-level act reinvented doesn't mean that's a Hall of Fame worthy career. Their career is a Hall of Shame worthy career in the way that they never gave a shit about the wrestling. You're like, oh, they improved so much. Well, from total garbage to dog shit isn't like some great improvement. You know what I mean? Oh, they almost were able to run the ropes without killing each other. Oh, well, put them in the Hall of Fame. They fucking get this business backwards and forwards, dude. And the fact that Johnny Ace is back in fucking power and he's married to their mom, dude. And you can even think, you can listen to Beautiful People on Patreon. He might have been putting it to one, if not both of them, back in the day when he first hired them. And now he's their fucking father-in-law, dude. So there's so much like just absolute bullshit with this, that when you induct people like that, you just lowered the entire fucking Hall of Fame class of this year to have them in there. Maybe another 15, 20 years in a look back when they come out as, 50-year-old women. But whatever they are now, that's just asinine, bro. And even I submit even guys like, well, RVD's put his time in. I mean, obviously, 35-year career.
I was going to say, if you want, we can get things going here. I could just real quick run down this thing and get your thoughts on them real quick. We got JBL.
I mean, too early. Maybe not. RVD and JBL are right on the cusp of like anything before that. I'm kind of not agreeing with.
Would you kind of go with maybe with Van Dam, that there's still some gas in the tank, that he could still lend something to the company as a talent? So maybe that makes him a little too early to be considered in that position for Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I guess so. But they're not gonna pull the trigger even when they need. There's only one scene that we're gonna get on Monday Night Raw, and I doubt they'll bring Rob back after that. And that's Riddle and Rob doing a stoner joke. That's it. That's the only value they see in them right now, because they're not going to put Katie Forbes on with her, with what she's doing on Instagram, showing her muff every fucking 2 minutes.
What do you think Vince thought though when he saw Katie Forbes?
God damn, pal! Look at the size of that thing. Yeah, man. I think what everybody thinks when they see Katie Forbes, like, holy shit, what is going on with her? I was fortunate enough to work with her, sweetheart of a girl. even did the opposite of what her money is to me for the big reveal and wore all my shit, let me cover her up, only to hit me in the nuts and have the Brooklyn Brawler take all the stuff off. So, the big reveal was at the end instead of her pulling focus because she's so hot. But, since they left Impact, she's gone full on Insta whore with all these fucking girls that are Vegas high price hookers and whatever they do out there. These, chicks with the thickness, these pogs or whatever she hangs out with. And, that's fine. That's dude on that OnlyFans. They're making crazy money. I can't hate on Katie and him at all, but there's no way while the cock is chopping down fucking Val Venus next that you're going to march out the stoner and the fucking, lady of the night to do this kind of shit, man, because even now they're creating content that is going to be scrubbed because it is misogynistic, even though then they'll make a stupid weed joke that's for 75-year-olds, some Cheech and Chong reference or some dumb shit, when the reality is New York State just fucking legalized it. It's getting legalized everywhere, and because as New York goes, the rest of the world goes.
Oh, I think I know their joke.
What's that?
You're looking for that old school one. They're going to go Cheech and Chong. They're going to be talking about the Hall of Fame, and Riddle's going to ask about Batista, and Van Damme's going to give the "Dave's not here, man."
That is good. That's way over their heads, bro. Way over. The Dave's not here bit is so far over fucking Bruce's and Vince's fucking head. They wouldn't even know what that reference is, but that's a beautiful stoner joke, right? But they're not gonna. They're just gonna. We had slime and hopscotch, bro. You think they're gonna get Dave's not here, man?
Yeah, I guess. We got another one going in here. This JBL was from last year. This is also from last year as well. Long overdue. The British Bulldog. He'll be going in.
Of course, British Bulldog, no doubt, man.
You also have Jushin Thunder Liger, who worked one match with the company, but so many great years under WCW. That they own the rights to now, and of course the international flavor there with all the work that he's done in Japan.
That's a weird thing. Like, just because you bought the company and the guy never worked for you and has no WWE moments, does it really mean that he has to go because he was in wrestling and now WWE owns all of wrestling, but it's in the WWE Hall of Fame? I'm not trying to take anything away from Jushin Thunder Liger. I enjoyed the hell out of his fucking career and matches. But these WCW crossovers, just because they are, you know what I mean? Maybe there needs to be a split off WCW wing of like guys like that who
I think that would be kind of cool. It maybe just the bot properties sort of wing or whatever it might be.
Yeah. I don't know what you would call it, or but we can come up with some branding ideas. But I mean, Jushin Thunder Liger, obviously another great career, but kind of also on that cut of the Rob Van Dam JBL. Like, you could have waited another 5 years to put Jushin Thunder Liger, Rob, or JBL in there.
Then we've got the New World Order, and we're going to get Hogan, Hall, Nash, and Pac. They'll be going.
So New World Order again, like, doesn't this feel like we're just doing something for lip service to get them in there? Like, do they really need a third ring? I think this is X-Pac's third.
DX, because he had DX. Well, I think
and didn't he go in by himself too? Or no?
I'm not sure if he went in by himself. So
no.
Yeah, he'll be a 2-time. So if he would at some point, and you got to believe that they'll go ahead and give him that nod.
Oh, just
that we'll have Waltman as a 3-time Hall of Famer.
Yeah, man. But that's guys who were snakes in the business and jumped for money and did what they need to do, and now they were shunned for it. Now they're 3-time Hall of Famers for it. That pretty much pops me, bro. So
we've covered the Bella Twins. We've got here. I'll jump down here. Some individuals representing the actual class of 2021. Molly Holly, who was an incredible worker, so unique in her time.
Yeah, a big fan. And I, all these criticism of saying is not to like, well, except for the Bella's work. I thought it was way too early for Beth Phoenix to go in, even though her speech was phenomenal. And especially the part where she references Molly Holly if anything, Molly should have gone in before Beth, and but I think this is a little too early too. Like Beth was too early in my opinion. But Molly Holly loved by everybody. But again, I'm arguing points of a fake, non-existent Hall of Fame that has no brick and mortar that anyone can go visit. So it's all a moot point.
Then we've got the NWO going in, but then going in separate here, which seems a little strange. Is you thought maybe they'd group them together. They got Bischoff, who's heading in.
Yeah, that is strange that they wouldn't just put them all together. And now you're putting not that he hasn't had good WWE moments of shock value, but now you're putting your once mortal enemy in your Hall of Fame. I don't know, man.
Is any surprise, or is this maybe something the company saying, okay, we still got you, with Bischoff working so close with AEW recently?
I think he's in TNT. I think he's a silent
mole or
advocate, or he's giving notes, not good ones, because apparently they still don't have the structure down. But for TNT, and we see Jericho on with Austin this week. I think that this is absolutely them wanting to have some control. But now if Bischoff's laughing all the way to the bank because any signing he has, he just put another 1,000 to 2,000 on his ask for the Hall of Fame shit. So ribs on them to some degree. But here's what I mean. This was less than a year and a half that, hey, let's bring in these guys to run SmackDown, and they just become scapegoats, and it's a 6-month turnaround, and he's fired. So come back and do a shitty job, turn your phone off at 7 and don't be reachable means you get fired. But in a year and a half, we'll put you in the Hall of Fame because we need some names to try and pop a rating from the Attitude Era, because everything we got going now is complete garbage and nobody's over.
We got I know you're a fan of the big men. We get the Great Khali and Kane. They'll be heading in.
I think both of those guys do deserve that. Khali, you want to get a guy like that in there because you never know giant-wise what's going to happen with health. You know what I mean? That's where I kind of make an exception. You want to talk about work rate. I mean, I can shit on the Bellows. I can shit on Khali too, but nobody's gonna, if you're gonna pay your ticket for one of the two, is it the brunette twins who talk like Valley Girls or the once in a lifetime Indian giant? The guy's a fucking draw. You know what I mean? So, and he's doing big things in India, so they want to get that crossover in there as well. So that's a smart business move for expansion. And sorry, who was the other one?
You got Kane and Khali.
Kane, well, yeah, I mean Kane with the
is Kane a little too soon?
Yeah, I think he is too, bro. I got to be honest with you. I think it is too soon. I would have waited till he runs for governor. I think the mayoral thing is too small for I mean, it's cute and he wants to run, but I see in another 4 years that guy could run for governor of Tennessee and win. And that if he was going into the Hall of Fame, now that's a worldwide free marketing campaign. You know what I mean?
Right.
It would have been a walk-off for the governor race. So that politically is a stupid move, in my opinion.
Representing the celebrities, William Shatner.
I mean, he's got to teach promo class to Sasha and to Keith Lee. So, just based on his work there alone and the countless hours he's put in to craft those two great talents. But yeah, I mean, Shatner had a couple different spots, and I always remember my favorite thing is the Booyaka, Booyaka, 619. Booyaka, Booyaka, 619. Like that fucking made me laugh so hard when they did the Hollywood. I can't remember which WrestleMania that was, but 24 maybe.
Yeah, somewhere around in there.
Yeah. But that was fun enough, and why not? I like the William Shatner. I like when they had on what's his gimmick from Price is Right?
Drew Carey.
No,
Bob Barker.
Bob Barker was better than Drew, but Drew took the cane bump, so you got to give it up to Drew Carey too, man. So, but yeah,
a lot of love from the Price is Right for WWE.
Well, that's Americana, bro. You know what I mean?
I think one that they got completely right. Give them credit here. The Warrior Award, Titus O'Neil.
Disagree.
Ooh, man, okay.
Why Titus O'Neil?
Well, I think one. with the Warrior Award, because originally this thing was supposed to be what is it? Those that are contributing backstage, like production, things like that.
Right.
Then they twisted it into like this. What is it? Do good. Good Samaritan kind of type. I think for somebody with the potential to be a spokesman for this company, to be one of those talking heads that should stand out front as a representative. I mean, what better guy than Titus O'Neil? What he's done for the community. I
agree, but they don't get him over on camera. I'm not trying to shit on the guy because I like him. That's a blue chip.
I think that's where this is nice. He's getting recognition here.
Right, but they missed. Shad Gaspard is the guy who should be going in, not Titus O'Neil.
All right. I'll concede to that one.
Shad Gaspard is the guy they should, so they missed. And in fact, this is an opportunity for Titus to say that this award isn't for him, that he's honored and do an even bigger thing and put Shad over.
I could absolutely see him doing that.
I think that's the fucking move, bro, to be honest with you. But I think we would have heard about that. I think that would have leaked out because they've pre-taped all of these. But it's Shad and it's JTG. But the reason why they're not doing it is because JTG has too much heat. And how fucked is that? Like,
well, I was even going to say, would they be smart enough to realize this thing leaks out? You think they would catch a bunch of backlash? All the companies just trying to. You haven't used these guys in all these years. Now you're just trying to cash in on this heroic story. This incredible. That he saves his son's life. This tragic.
Isn't that what the Warrior? The Warrior Award was supposed to be about people behind the scenes who you don't get to see, who are the fucking production people, hair and makeup for 20 years. Palma Brox, who does all the Make-A-Wish stuff. That was one of the first ones. And then it switched from that. And now here's a guy that is loved by a lot of his, peers. JTG's written 2 books that have too much heat, and they can swallow their fucking pride for Bischoff, but they can't for Shad Gaspard. And the other thing is, how serious are they about making Titus O'Neil look good when they just laugh their asses off because he trips and falls and goes under the ring? That's his fucking moment in forever in WWE that they'll play 1,000 times. And then now he does all these, he's hosting with Hogan. That's a rib. That's a rib on Hogan's racism, putting him right with African-American dude. Not like they're going to sell for it, but they think that's fucking funny. Then they have Titus doing the Dairy Queen commercials for fucking fried chicken baskets with his son. Like, instead of putting Miz and Morrison on that, and because they know it's a fucking, you put the black guy in the fried chicken commercial, we're fucked out of the gate. Instead of having him do the CarMax commercial with his sons, where they need more room because his sons have grown and they're going to CarMax to get a new ride, and put Miz and Morrison on the DQ stuff. Instead, nope, they fucking rib him and put it right there, dude. And people are like, no, he's just got a commercial. No, believe me, it's by choice of their it's the same reasons why they don't make the Bobby Lashley a champion on the week before Black History Month ends. They wait till one day after to do it. This covert racism that they think that nobody sees and is woven into everything they do. And if they have a writing and creative staff, someone should go,
do they legitimately believe that no one's seeing this and they're just kind of amusing themselves? Or is it to a point that they just don't even care? They just blatantly just put it out there?
I don't think, dude, from Asuka promos, Shinsuke promos, they don't give a shit, bro. They really don't. And there was stuff this week with the Riddle walking off and them breaking up the Hurt Business. Where a Hurt Biz went to them, all of them, and go, this is way too soon, and plead their case, and please don't do this now, and da-da-da. What happens? Break them up, dude. Like, post Black History Month, 1 month, what was it, 3 weeks past Black History Month, the crew that was supposed to be empowered, blue chip athletes, strong African-American archetypes instead of the old stereotype, I knew that was coming, Beaster Buddy. I fucking knew that was coming. Instead of doing what they should be in the id of what their character is, now we're going to send Shelton Benjamin and Cedric right back to the bottom. They'll be doing clowny shit. They'll be petty, and they're just going to have African-American version of Roman and Lashley with MVP Roman and Heyman. Yeah, with Lashley and MVP. So it's completely asinine and shows the covert racism is always still alive there in WWE and the choices that they make and they decide to do things. Seth Rollins voicing over the Martin Luther King shit. You're just like, come on, bro.
I'm just hoping that this Hurt Business breakup, I guess I want to give WWE a little too much credit that they're not that just that stupid. Steal one from Shane. Just not that stupid. I'm hoping this is some kind of swerve and mastermind plan from MVP to throw McIntyre off of his game, and Hurt Business is going to get back together. Lashley over. But
they do that. It's because of those guys. Everyone's bitching, and then they're doing the Band-Aid on a broken leg. Just kidding. It was all a psychological ploy for our shit booking to cover that up instead of listening to your performers going, bro, this is way too soon to do this, which is what the word from the sheets is. Fuck you. Fuck them. Let's do it. That's getting it out there. But hot off the Cottontail Trail, he's been out picking up all the candy and all the eggs you can lay, infidels. It's the Beaster Bunny. Dr. Ted, how are you this morning, pal?
Feeling good. Just enjoyed a nice, relaxing Easter. I have to say that it was an excellent day, and I hope it certainly was great for you guys as well.
Yeah, I ate all the fish, man. I know me and you've been going on fish craze here during the Lenten season. If there's one thing I hate or I love about the religions I hate, it's that they eat fish in the spring, and I can get as much of that as I can, man.
Yeah, that's my favorite part too. Fried fish in Louisville, all over the city. You can't go 3 blocks without finding a fish fry on a Friday, and it's one of the benefits of living here, I guess you could say.
I had fisherman's platter last night, man, and I paid for it later afterwards, but it was good going down. I had some RBV fitness, but RBV's back on those salads and Brussels sprouts and greens from here on out. No more fried food for him. He can look at it, but he can't touch it. And one more thing you can't touch, infidels, is the mama Monday morning Easter monologue.
Hell yeah. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a happy Easter Monday to all the peeps out there, as well as the Easter Bunny, who's never too hip to hop more than a double IPA. But fun fact, do you know how much the Easter Bunny gets for making a basket?
I don't.
2 points, just like everyone else. But shout out to him, stuffing more baskets than the NBA, and I hope everyone's Easter egg hunting plans were hatched to perfection without them getting poached. I didn't do any Easter egg hunting myself, but it was hoping my pandemic bean garden would have grown by now. But sadly, I did not grow any jelly beans this year. But maybe next year we'll have to try it again. But I'll tell you, I learned that it's a lot easier to paint eggs than to try to wallpaper them. I learned that the hard way. So don't make the same mistake as I did. Although it wasn't as bad as when I was a kid and got promised a Bugs Bunny, but instead got a rabbit covered in fleas. That was the worst. Absolutely horrible. And you got to watch out for those rabbits. I once saw a group of them performing martial arts. Every bunny was kung fu fighting. It was the craziest thing I ever saw. But speaking of crazy, let's get into some WrestleMania headlines. Fightful Select reports that the WWE had a very specific social media guideline for what words promotional partners could or could not use ahead of WrestleMania 36, including avoiding the words wrestling and wrestlers for WrestleMania. Sometimes the jokes just write themselves.
I know.
Now, speaking of WrestleMania, generals will gather in their masses just like witches with fat asses, as a new report has confirmed Ozzy Osbourne is joining the WWE Hall of Fame this week, coming fresh off the heels of Sharon Osbourne being canceled off of the talk. But you notice Sharon was the only Osbourne without a drug problem. I guess the rest of the family didn't feel like Sharon. But, too bad for her. Speaking of WrestleMania time and the Hall of Fame, Sean Waltman has confirmed on his latest podcast that the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony will not have inductors. And if you're not down with that, I guess just don't watch. I don't know what to tell you. We were just talking about it. I heard you all talking about the Hurt Business. They split up on this past Monday's episode of Raw with fans and Batista not very happy about it. As far as why Vince McMahon wanted the breakup to happen, still no word yet on which member of the Hurt Business sneezed in front of him. We're still trying to figure this out. And of course, it would be remiss not to talk about this past week's SmackDown. Apollo Crews wants a special stipulation for his match with Big E at WrestleMania, a Nigerian drum fight. Looks like Big E got snared into the match, and I don't know what to think about it, but I am excited to see the repercussions. In all seriousness, though, I don't think Big E is a very good drummer, so he will be hard to beat. You got to admit that going into it. Are you going to bet on this match, Ben?
Yeah, I might throw a little bit down.
I think it's a sound investment. I really do. Can I do one last drum joke? One more. One final one. It's nothing to do with the match, but I don't know if I ever told you this. I actually have a Polish drummer friend. And a check 1, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been your Monday morning monologue.
Yeah, Beast, good to be back, man. Good to have you in the rundown, man. There was one in there in the middle. I had a point.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah,
no inductors.
Yeah, no inductors. That's
weird.
You just and now the New World Order. Now they come out and whatnot. But somebody had mentioned earlier with Bischoff going in, how long is it till we get to see Russo? I mean, you want to talk about contributions to this business. There's, it's gotta be in the next 2 years, I believe.
Yeah, one would think. Yeah, it's actually surprising that even just for a WWE Network doc, he hasn't even been reached out to.
Well, there's interesting things going on, Beast, because I'll stooge this off. Dana Warrior, there's an outside company that's working on an Ultimate Warrior doc. And this dude got a hold of Russo, and Russo's like, I'm not sure if I want to do it. He's like, well, Dana really wants you in it, and I guess it's going to be WWE related. And he had to submit a list of names to get cleared for some other thing for that he was interviewing for maybe Dark Side of the Ring. I think they might have had a hand in that. So Russo's like, well, I mean, I'd do it, but I'd really like to have Dana on my platform. And if you can get that done, dude, he went in and fucking, I guess they got the green light that Dana Warrior might do something on Russo brand. Russo's going to do something because the Warrior loved Russo and the real talk, and he's going to do that way. So there is some strange doors opening, back door to like, okay, I guess we can go along to get along and what's good for business. And that would be huge. I mean, imagine having, they'd probably rib him and have to have Jim Cornette do his induction. But, there's that going on. And now this week, the other big news that everyone's like, what's going on here? And I want to get your opinion, Beast, because I think the door is wide open, is Jericho on Stone Cold's podcast.
No, I think that's great. And I've spoken out on a subject before as far as I think more collaboration between the wrestling companies, the big ones, is what's going to help bring wrestling back into the mainstream, or at least more so. And at the end of the day, I honestly believe that's what's going to help everybody make more money. It's not going to take money away. It's going to help contribute to getting wrestling popular again. I think it's a great first step. I don't think, I think it's still a long way to go to have more collaborating. But I think it opens the door for really cool things, and hopefully it opens the door for, bringing in Russo for even just a documentary. And then even from there, who knows where that can go. You're just opening the door for that relationship. Right. I mean, look at the Warrior. Then they just do a documentary on him, and then that spilled into the WrestleMania induction. And sadly, he ended up passing before we had a chance to really celebrate him. But as far as while he was here with us, but, I think it's exciting time to be in wrestling, even though, well, there's plenty that we can critique about, but I think at least opening the door for collaborations is a really cool thing, and I'm excited to see the possibilities as far as where it could go.
I mean, it's a collaboration now, or is this? I mean, I like your positive attitude always, and you're like, oh, maybe they'll work together, or is it as quick and short as Jericho's done with dealing with Khan's asinine fucking booking? and stepping on things and champagne spritzer matches or whatever the fuck, mimosa matches and dancing segments. And Jericho knows, and this is just his way back into WWE to leave. I don't think this is, in my opinion, like, and now AEW has the door open. The forbidden doors are open to work with WWE. I see this as them wanting to get out. And I also see like Cody's stuff with the Nightmare family is him. Nobody else kind of wants to work with him. And now he has to book himself with students. So I think this is Jericho trying to get a foot back in the door to come back over. And he knows Vince will hire him because that'll be a major blow to these inner circle factions or whatever, the pinnacle or whatever it is they're trying to do, man. I think this is Jericho going to business for himself.
You very well may be correct. I think the cool thing, though, is I think we will obviously know during the course of that interview, I don't think we'll, know all the details, but certainly how that interview is directed will tell a lot of the story. I mean, obviously, if he's allowed to start putting over the stuff he's doing on a different channel, right, that's huge. Then again, if they skirt around the subject, then certainly that lends more credence to your theory and that he's kind of fishing, if you will, for seeing where other bigger fish might be biting.
I've just heard. I mean, I'm going off of not what I know about Jericho, but I know that of Cody, of what the rumors are of the upper brass not wanting to be in the mix there.
But that being said, he's also trying to establish his own wrestling school right now. And what better way to get students to want to move across the country and across the world than, oh shit, he's putting his students on television. I need to go over there and start training with them. But
do you call your company All Elite when you have students on there? Were we Elite Derby City Wrestling, the best of the best? No. So that's kind of exposing bad. And then I know I won't name which one, but one of the Young Bucks is like at the wit's end. I've heard the same of Omega. He doesn't give a shit about wrestling, would rather play video games and lock himself in his office because he's tired of all the politics and shit like that. Guys who are indie darlings who are now vice presidents that have a lot more on their plate are that dream has worn off a bit. And I think Jericho's kind of in the same thing as well, of like probably try to do tons of business and just like, I don't have time to school this guy. I'm going back, and that'll be a good shot fired business wise. That's how I see this shit.
Could this also be a Jericho working con? Hey, dude, I just went over to WWE and did something no one's ever done. I talked about it, the opposing company. My deal's coming up. I need you to put an extra zero at the end of that check each week.
Yeah, it could be that. It very well could be that. And Jericho's a supreme worker to know how to pull those strings. If Stone Cold shows up on AEW, then I agree with Man Beast 100%. The door is open. There are fucking back and forth, yada, yada, yada. But I don't know, man, because even Stone Cold was not burying WWE, but like when you go, is Stone Cold going to WrestleMania this year? No, man, I didn't even get asked, so I'm going to sit home and watch this one. Strange. That's strange to me.
I'll tell you what, if I'm Stone Cold, I'm not happy with WWE because his show, the one on USA, the reality show, it's a pretty good show, but you talk about the worst lead-in. You go on after WWE Raw.
It's rough.
You don't have an audience left to watch your show.
No, they're burnt, dude. And if anybody's watching it, it's on replay. No one's like, let me get through 3 hours of wrestling. Then at 11 at night, I'm going to fucking watch Charlotte go on a jet ski with them. Oh, okay.
I'll even have to admit, I didn't even watch that one, but I have enjoyed the other episodes. They've been pretty good.
Watch his beloved Shar, who, I mean, that's a big news story, Beast. I don't know if you heard about this one, but Charlotte Flair, not on WrestleMania, no business after the Lacey Evans, after the botch with her dad, Lacey's pregnant. Then WWE office contacts her and says that she's pregnant based off of some of the tests that they give all the time. Turns out she's not pregnant. So did they write her out of WrestleMania based on a lie to tell her that she was pregnant and F with her because of Andrade, because they messed up the Lacey Evans business, because her father just needs a paycheck? I mean, there's all these outside mitigating strange factors. And are they that fucked up that they would say, let's tell her she's pregnant, and that'll be the way to get her off.
That is interesting, because I didn't realize that had happened, because I thought I don't follow week to week, but I do kind of loosely follow what's going on, and I thought one of the more intriguing stories was the Lacey Evans Charlotte Flair thing. So it's interesting to hear that it's all been kind of just dropped based off a false I guess allegation of pregnancy.
Well, they had actually dropped that storyline because Lacey actually was pregnant.
Yeah. Well, let's go through the whole thing. Ric Flair is broke, completely broke, and needs money. Lacey Evans was going to go do some trucker stupid fucking laugh thing, but then what pops Vince is the inferred, Flair and Lacey are fucking, and that gives Charlotte like heat of like, Dad, why are you with her? So that storyline's like to start with. Then Lacey gets pregnant for real, so that storyline shot because she can't wrestle. So now everybody's off the radar. Then Andrade, who's not being used, and said he would. This has got to be bullshit. Andrade said he made $3 million last year from WWE. I can't believe he made 300,000, let alone 3 million. But so there's that of him wanting to be back on TV, probably pushing, and they tested him and he probably failed. I'm not saying for B12. I mean, like tested him like, oh, we'll see if he marks out for this and sells for it. And when he does, then we got him, and he's buried even further, and they know they can mess with him. So he's on the shelf. Then he has to go through his wife, who's the most over woman in the company, to pitch a relationship angle for them because they know they got him tested and he's spinning. Then she pitches that, and they're just waiting. I'm sure it was probably a damn good, well thought out angle, but they're just waiting to shut it down so they can drive him further into a fucking mental space. I don't know why they always do this, but they do. And even the top wrestlers can't see it coming while they're in the bubble. And then this weird thing with WWE doctors telling her she's pregnant.
Well, like Andrade, I mean, you could tell he was pushed to the limits because as soon as he was out that door, I mean, he's taking interviews and he is shooting on everybody. I mean, he's talking about how
he made $3 million a year. You know what? If you made $3 million a year, that means your downside would be at 30%. $1 million a year. And if you leave WWE while you're sitting home and they're paying you $1 million during this time, you are a fucking moron. You're not going to make that money anywhere else. And you're a mark for yourself to be in the ring during a time of COVID, to be cheered by people. Dude, how over was Andrade? Not over at all. and now he thinks he's going to go to ROH and work with his old partner CMLL. Is he really that much of a mark for the fucking Latino crowd to cheer him, or the indie crowd, that you would leave $3 million on the table? If that's a real number, you're a goddamn fool.
I personally agree with you. I don't think it's I mean, I could be wrong, but I agree. I don't think he seems like that's a bit much for him to make. That being said, getting ready to go out onto the scene.
Maybe he was counting Charlotte's money as well.
Well, yeah, maybe so.
Good point here. It could be 3 million pesos. So that equals $25.
But in all seriousness, to tell everybody, essentially tell the world, I made all this money, then essentially when he goes out to any other company, he's cutting them a great deal now because, well, he made $3 million there. So I think maybe as a business opportunity, perhaps that's what he was thinking, saying he made all this money. So that way, when he's quote unquote cutting people deals, it seems like he's, doing a great favor. In reality, he probably was not making that much. So, perhaps that was his thinking as far as that goes. But I agree with you. It seems like a bit much, especially during the time of COVID and budget cuts, that he would be making that much.
There's no way. I bet I sold more shirts on ProWrestlingTees.com/Ben Hameen than he sold on WWE Shop.
Yeah.
Who's buying Andrade shirts and shit? Nobody, bro. No merch money coming in. His matches in these shitty 6-mans with Garza. And then really you want to go all the way back to why he was buried and put on the shelf? Zelina Vega. Heat by association.
I was going to say that was the last time he was even relevant, is when they had that little run with her crew.
That's it. And you think they paid $3 million for that? He's lying through his teeth, bro.
Well, gentlemen, back to the WrestleMania there. One of the headlines here is I head on over to Ringside News. Thanks for their contribution here to the show. We're talking about why the Hurt Business was broken up, and it's being revealed now that maybe there is some major concerns backstage about the reaction that the booking is going to get at WrestleMania with the return of a live audience. They're not going to be able to control it like they were with the Thunderdome. And Vince himself was pretty adamant that he wanted the Hurt Business broken up because he feared that they would be cheered over Drew McIntyre. And that might be the case in a few other matches that are happening as well, that the audience is going to embrace, as they put it here, the wrong superstar. So that could be a reasoning there. As obviously this has to be a legitimate fear for WWE, right? As we get back to live audiences.
So you're going to sacrifice all the guys for one pop instead of saying, oh, they want to go with Lashley, let's give them what they want down the road and let them hijack the show, which would still be more of a moment instead of a straight up phony ass wrestling match between two guys. There's plenty of ways that they could have avoided that, especially in the 3 weeks leading up to it, with those guys getting real heat on somebody. But there's the road we've gone down with McIntyre and Lashley is back and forth, and Sheamus and these guys and just getting the finish over. They had 3 weeks to get solid heat, and their thing was, let's just break them up and decrease the crew by half, because that'll lessen Lashley being cool and this faction being over. Dude, it is 2021. No one gives a shit about Drew McIntyre. I mean, I like Drew. We all do. He's fucking great. He's great. No one gives a shit about Drew McIntyre's WrestleMania moment that we missed last year, and we're going to give him this year. It's 2021. Cops are killing black men in the fucking streets by the dozen. We have a racial divide like we've never seen before in all sports, from Kaepernick taking a knee to LeBron fucking bowing for the Chinese. If people are into black culture and a black crew, you fucking run with it. You don't go away from it and tear it down. The it of that crew was black men are tired of being clowns in fucking WWE. Meanwhile, Street Profits backstroke down the ramp to the ring and fucking drink out of red Solo cups, which is an inference to drinking lean and syrup, which is some fucking hood shit as you can possibly get of like the lowest of the low world star levels. These guys are wearing Jack Victor fucking Hart Schaffer Marks $2,000 custom suits to the ring, showing what you can be, young man.
They were completely different, like Horsemen and Evolution group. I mean, they looked like $1 million. That's who you wanted to emulate.
And now you've got Shelton Benjamin and Cedric as little bitchers. That's what they're going to fucking be going out, instead of the empowered group of black men together, who I want to see them in African-American, set. I want to see them in the fucking barber shop getting all fresh and clean and having the dudes talk to them and have them do real talk how they would. You know what I mean? They don't have to pull any punches and whitewash their shit for anybody. And now what was getting built and was good, who cares, for the fear of a babyface reaction? Dude, everybody wants to be black culture. That's why the crossover of Eminem from Little Richard, from Elvis Presley, of fucking doing that, bro. But now we're not going to highlight it the way it fucking should be. And even MVP was putting over that he gets trolled about his time in prison, did 9.5 years, bro. Robbed a cruise ship, which pops the shit out of me. Like, you got some big balls. You're gonna what are we gonna rob today? Let's go down to fucking the docks and rob the cruise ship. Big balls. But he gets busted on for it, and that is the beauty, dude. That's the comeback story of a young, ignorant man who was forced into crime based on his situation, who now is the head of a faction and has the street knowledge still, but is saying, nah, young man, you don't have to do that. You can fucking come this way and be part of the Hurt Business and show that what it takes dedication wise in the gym, health. Even now, I still study Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I won a championship. I never thought of that when I was 19. There's 10 years. Like,
there's your WWE Network Peacock documentary leading into WrestleMania. It's him out there in the community telling that story with the guys that look like $1 million. It's not about Braun wanting to kill himself or Alexa Bliss and her potbelly pig.
And who tells that story? Titus O'Neil is the guy that fucking is the
narrator.
the narrator of it all, bro. They miss on black culture so much. And even when guys who are when Lashley and MVP, who could probably fucking tune up anybody on the roster in a dark room that they wanted to, they go and plead their case, it still gets fucked. Like even that, they're like, Bruce, and the door closes, Vince and Bruce, we got him. Instead of doing the right thing, because Vince loves Martin Luther King and fucking civil rights, don't you know? But every fucking move they do is to make the black man look like a bigger fucking clown than he already was.
So do you believe, now nothing's been confirmed for night one, but the big rumor out there, and there is even a story here saying that nothing is written, nothing's etched in stone right now, but the rumor is they're going to close with Banks and Belair over Lashley and McIntyre. Do you think that's because in their mind they're thinking, well, we got to put McIntyre over to give him that moment in front of an audience, but we got to make, appease the African-American audience with giving them something, so they're moving the women into that spot, and in their mind they think that's a fair trade-off?
Look how they fucking do that. EST was a track star, the best at everything, obviously a fucking natural thoroughbred athlete. Now she comes down and whips her big fucking hair around to show that, look, black women have insane hair extensions, and slaps her ass. Like, I got a booty. Like, that's what they fucking, since Royal Rumble, they've lowered her to that. And having another black man come in as a sommelier because they needed to get her over with Carmella because she's rotten. So we're going to make her a Moscato drinking fucking reality show kind of horror fucking figure. And then they take her away from that just to show that the black guy can flip. Dance for me. Fucking like, that's what it is, bro. And I don't claim to hold dominion over any race as I play racial stereotypes outside of my own. But I've been in the hip hop culture since fucking 85, bro. And I can't believe that there isn't an NAACP injunction to like do this kind of shit of like, you're not going to show black culture like this anymore with fucking scissor up and lean and fucking all this type of shit, man. It's really, really, because black guys are the coolest. That's why white people appropriate black culture nonstop. So let's go. If they're going to be baby faces, run with it. Run with it, dude. Man Beast, Bad Bunny or Easter Bunny?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I gotta go with the Beaster Bunny. It's been a part of my heart for a lifetime. So
nice. Me too, man. Beaster Bunny all day over strong, man. I know I'm eating up a lot of time. I got high here. What else next? What we got?
So as we go through here, we'll move away from WWE here just for a moment as we look some at these other headlines. We have got Teddy Long who's in the news, recently had an interview, and he said after seeing Vicky Guerrero as part of AEW, there was a little bit of interest, maybe some middle party conversation going on, but he was kind of told that he was too old for AEW. He said that really surprised him as he looked at their product and what he felt he could offer.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like these young pups like Sting, Arn Anderson, Jake Roberts that they got over there. You're too old, bro.
I mean, it seems a little strange from the company that kind of even, beats their chest that wrestling's for everyone. And now we're getting reports of age discrimination.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I almost am like, I almost don't want them there because what have they done with Vicky Guerrero? I watched them bump Vicky Guerrero on the outside, and now they got Vicky Guerrero doing jump ups where she has to pull a leg. That's not what Vicky Guerrero does. She says, excuse me, and she's annoying, and she yells and has temper tantrums. She don't get physically involved, and you never put your motherfucking hands on Vicky Guerrero. You threaten like you're gonna, and then Nyla Rose comes in and beats your ass.
Or
they did shoot reverse. Nyla bumps Vicky on the outside out of nowhere. First time out. Go ahead, Beast.
I was going to say, or if you do, that is the story. That's not just an inconsequential act. Like
right.
That's huge.
Right.
If you put your hands on Vicky, that is the spotlight. But to make that just a what do you call it? I guess a mechanism for the story. That to me is very short-sighted and not seeing where the true value and where the true heat is with Vicky.
And that's the whole thing is that's the opening door for him there. He should have pitched that. And you're right, Beast. That is the story. Because if you bump Vicky Guerrero, what should she look like for the next 3 months, Rick?
Oh, I mean, she should be the one in the neck brace, bring in lawsuits, try to get a hold of it, sue anybody that touched her. I mean, you could even spin that off in the different vignettes and all that.
Yep. And then for the special match, she needs a friend who's got the authority, who's going to put a match together that's going to, and holla, holla, holla player, her friend comes in to help her. And we do an old schoolers WWE management reference type thing, but we weave it in there the right way. So they did miss absolutely on that bump from Vicky, and I was shocked when I saw that. And
I don't know. I think instead of the Teddy Long thing, maybe I'm wrong on this. I did like immediately my head goes to Nyla, I guess, as the heel, shrugging it off and say, get over it. Vicky is hurt, obviously. And then Chavo comes in the next week and says, who the fuck are you to mess with my family? And have one-off match with Chavo and Nyla, and have Chavo. I think Chavo could contribute great as a producer, but have that be an opportunity to put Nyla over. You know what I mean? And I think they could kill it because Chavo knows how to lead, and that would be an interesting, intriguing story.
That's a great split off.
Is Vicky sitting there with the neck brace on and just in her own misery? Nyla just tells her to grow a pair.
Essentially, yeah. And she's even more of a heel because she's, essentially telling her to fuck off. And then that's when the next week, oh, you want to tell her to fuck off? Tell me to fuck off. You know what I mean?
And could you put Teddy Long with Nyla Rose could he be more than a holla holla player dancing, WWE thing? Like there's real talk there of where he just had to come out and be the good time. It's a tag match, playa. Well, maybe he wants to show in this final chapter of his career that he's got a lot more to offer. Some real talk from him would be pretty incredible. You know what I mean? And instead of doing the one trick pony stuff that we've seen him do for 10, 20 years.
Although I would pop if he came out of AEW and said, tonight you're going to go one-on-one with The Undertaker. And they're like, Teddy, he's not.
That would be good if he just made matches that, like, even if that was a funny running bit where he was making matches that could never take place. You know what I mean? Well, that's Grammy Award winner Bad Bunny to you, says Stevie Richards this morning. And we had two-time Grammy Award winner Crazy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony. I know we were having all kinds of problems with Podbean still. We're trying to get everything fixed this week on where we're going new platform-wise. But you can keep it locked here, Ben Hameen channel, you guys. It's up there along with all of the locker room shows, except for the Wednesday. And Wednesday actually sent me, I'm excited for them to debut a new little piece of audio. So hopefully they pump it out this week on the Wednesday locker room. Very cool stuff. Really made my Sunday. Shout out to those 11-11 boys. Absolutely doing their thing over there on the People's Show, the Wednesday locker room.
Must listen each and every week.
They
honestly, they could talk, just conversating about anything, and you feel engaged. You feel like you're in the room with them.
Yep.
A great team there on Wednesdays. But Ben, talk about great teams. You and Big Ray, you guys have been at it for years. And kind of driving that has been TNA Impact Wrestling. Eric Bischoff recently had shared some thoughts about the original days of Impact Wrestling. And I'm talking going way back when the Jarretts were getting this thing off the ground and their business model strictly pay-per-view based. Bischoff had to say, I thought it was the dumbest damn thing I'd ever heard of. I got a phone call from Jerry Jarrett, basically offered me an opportunity to come on board for their new vision of wrestling, and that was going to be a pay-per-view only model. I thank Jerry for the call. I was very appreciative and thankful. I hung up the phone, looked at my wife and said, Miss B, these guys are heading for a brick wall. They don't even know it. They think it's going to be a fun ride. That was the dumbest idea I had ever heard of. I guess, gentlemen, a little walk down memory lane, going back to that day. What did you think back then about this type of model and what it could present, possibly change in the world of professional wrestling?
Well, at the time, I was still, a couple years away from, I think I was only like 16 years old or something like that. So I hadn't even started wrestling training yet. And I just remember being excited to have an alternative to wrestling. I wasn't able to get the pay-per-view every week just because, it's expensive, but I was hoping that it was going to work.
If I remember though, I don't think they were that bad priced. I think it was
like $5 or something like that.
Yeah. Each week it was between like 5 and 10. It kind of varied at different points.
But I remember being excited about it. So I didn't necessarily have an opinion of, this is going to fail or whatnot. I just remember as a fan thinking, I hope this works out. I'll say, it's easy to look back and say, oh yeah, I knew that was a stupid idea 20 years later. So I don't lend so much credence to, anyone could go back and say that, but I think it was at least a fair attempt at trying something different, and I think that in of itself should be at least applauded just for at least trying. Now that it worked, no, but obviously Impact Wrestling in its form is much different than what it was back then. But I'd still say for them to be able to stay alive as a company is still a testament to at least their endurance as far as just being around and part of professional wrestling.
They gave Chancellor a lot of people who were either not going to make it in WWE developmental a chance to shine, who definitely put their miles in indie wise. AEW feels more indie now than Impact did at that time to me. I'm not sure, as far as talent and work goes, they were doing crazy spots, and you had guys like Motor City Machine Guns and all that, who caught a break and became more of a household name in the wrestling biz. So regardless of the model, it did great things for everybody from, we just saw Cowboy James Storm 1000th match. That's pretty awesome. You know what I mean? To be able to help. And that's really where his career has always been, as much as he's tried to get into NXT and they fucked with him and so there is a legacy that was built, and, the original business model is always changing on any business to thrive and survive as you find new avenues of revenue or what is or what isn't working. You have to stay fluid. So might not have been the best thought out thing, but at the same time, I can see his dad going, well, we'll clean up on 2 or 3 pay-per-views. Fuck it. If it goes under, it goes under. Believe me, they weren't just doing it as a pipe dream to fucking do it. They had a quick in and out strategy, and if things changed, they were gonna move with it.
Well, should they get credit as being a bit of a predecessor to what you see so much of today, especially with indies getting together for these streaming sites, with wrestling TV, whatever the case might be. That was really so ahead of the game. We can't find this traditional outlet. We got to think outside of the box here.
Well, we had a greed grab because pay-per-views went from 1995 to 40 to 60 during that time, right? And they knew that it was coming, but like all good ideas, usually they're ahead of their time. I was talking to Crazy Bone about his and Wu-Tang did this, the one-off album that Martin Shkreli bought, and so is Bone Thugs is going to do the same thing. And they kept pushing it back. This was 8 years ago. That's what NFTs are today. One piece of music ownership that will increase in value like a Picasso. So you are right in that people might rib them because of that time and hurt them, but were they 20 years ahead of the subscription-based model at $5 through an app just because there was no phones that you were watching shit on like that 20 years ago? We were still Motorola, Razr, and Nokia at the time, right? So just because it didn't fit then doesn't mean it wasn't an idea that was ahead of its time.
Essentially, you look at with the WWE Network, you were paying $250 a week for NXT. You just happen to get all this other, you get up to your $10 for the month, whatever the case might be. I think it's one of the things. It's easy to laugh at a company, but not give them credit for advancements that they shared.
People have no idea either. And he might have booked himself over because he was a competent worker. Maybe he doesn't. I doubt he's a mark for himself. Not in any fucking interactions I've had with him did I feel like that. But Jeff Jarrett is a fucking dude who works his ass off and has been in this business since day one, born into it. And whether he was champ there to try and, keep that going, that was a lot of work to get that shit off the ground. And people have no idea, Booker, marketing, getting buildings, getting fucking all the flyers, making sure the TV deal afterwards gets done, all the pay-per-view stuff. Then you got to go wrestle, bro, and carry off the show. The detractors have no idea the amount of work that goes into that process.
Isn't a lot of that just not really knowing your history? I mean, that's territory 101. You take care. If you got a major stake in the territory, you're putting the people that you trust over. And a lot of times that's yourself.
You got to go with what you can. I mean, even in OVW, that's what they did right out of the gate. Rip was the champ until he got in the car accident. So.
Very nice. Ben, what was this cock story you're talking about? I'm looking around for this thing.
Oh, the cock? That's what we're calling Peacock from now on. The cock, though. Yeah. Well, I mean, first it started out
real quick. As I was going to say on the street, hey, you got the cock? Oh yeah, I got the cock. Come on over.
All right, so I didn't know because I'm going through this thing, and I did have on here to start talking about, and I thought I was going to kind of take that as our close. There is this censorship deal. And what we're hearing about, how what NBC's, they purchased this thing and they're stripping it down.
Foolish. Go ahead, Beast. I'll give you firsties.
Well, no, I was going to actually say after this, I wanted to go over the list of words that they were talking about because I thought that was interesting. But as far as now I lost my train of thought. They left the station.
Sure, I'll come right back. So the cock, first thing they did was go in the half blackface of Roddy Piper during the Bad News Brown feud. That's gone. Scrubbed from history. Then Vince McMahon to John Cena, my N-word, in front of Booker T, gone. Now blackface, which is of DX mocking Nation of Domination, which is one of the best fucking in-ring sketches of the Attitude Era, no doubt about it, gone. And now, as Beast is saying, they're censoring words. This is, I say this too many times, 1984, George Orwell, Winston Smith, the Ministry of Information, where they burn old newspapers and they will actually have people killed and unpersoned who go against this part of history if it stands out. And so they can, who controls the past controls the future. We've heard this from Rage Against the Machine to wherever, man. And that's exactly what is it's scarily going down right now, because 2 generations from now, where there is no WWE network and it might only exist in NBC, those things never happened. There's only going to be tape trader masturbators, and I imagine it'll be scrubbed from online because they'll go after them of anybody putting up the old footage, because now they own it or lease it all. So we're setting such a terrifying precedent of, instead of going an HBO disclaimer of, this content you're watching is generational from over 40 years ago, and social norms have changed. You may not agree with what you're seeing here. Please know that you're watching this at your own risk, what have you. Some disclaimer between NBC, between the cock and WWE on there of generational shit, instead of just scrubbing history so we can't use that as a learning lesson of why black people or white people shouldn't dress in blackface and why it's insulting to that degree. Now we've opened Pandora's box. Ho Train, gotta go. Misogyny. Sable naked, Cat naked with Lawler screaming puppies at him and talking about their vag, gone. Muhammad Hassan, gone. Who else?
You go down the list. Hey,
gone. Asian perpetual stereotypes. I mean, we're just gonna go and go and go and go of who's offended and who's not. And here's the thing that the cock doesn't even realize that they're fucking with, is that WWE fans, wrestling fans in general, our listeners are bitter cunts. They want one reason to say, fuck you, I'm not buying your shit, and to hold a grudge against you for X amount of years, because they love it and they love the drama. I love it, you love it, we all do. And now NBC thinking that they're doing something for the Nancy Browns at home who are going to subscribe to the cock and fucking think that, oh, I'm getting the friends in Office and wrestling and it's going to be all good, even though it's stripped down. What they really need is the 1.2 million network subscribers to come over to the cock and fucking subscribe to that. they're going to lose 400,000 people who are just going, fuck you. You don't fuck with my wrestling, dude. You don't strip down the history of what I've invested 40 years in, because I'm only watching this shit product now because of habit and because of dedication to this fake sport that I love. And now when they mess with that, the biggest thing that they needed was to make people feel welcome in that transition crossover from WWE Network to the cock. And now they just fucked that up right out of the gate every step of the way before WrestleMania, when they need to get people over. If they would have started making these moves afterwards, they wouldn't have near the controversy. I bet they lose 100,000 subscribers that would have jumped over for WrestleMania. All those people are already savvy, and they're going to go to watchwrestling.la. They're going to go to vipbox.nu. They're going to go to sportsbay.org or one of the other 50 fucking sites where we can watch your shitty pay-per-view for free instead of signing up for the NBC GE program of let's ban shit and rewrite history, because there's 3 people in a goddamn office somewhere who go, well, we can't have that. That's insensitive to blacks right now. And that's what they're focusing on, is African-American banning. But believe me, when are they going to switch to fucking Mexicools? When are they going to switch to Kerwin White? It's right around the corner. And I'm just going to get people unsubbing. And then you spend $1 billion for a toxic product that you made toxic, not the fucking content that's already in there. It's wrestling. It's stereotypical. People hate the Muslims. They hate the Russians. They hate this is what we do as people to get our true angst out through phony sports entertainment.
What territories are going to be gone? I mean, especially when you get down to the deep south. I mean, but where does
ECW, 90% of ECW is fucking gone.
Where do the parameters, how far do they stretch, though? Is this just Peacock just monitoring professional wrestling? You mentioned The Office. There's plenty of offensive material there. I mean, you got Michael Scott in his character roles, is I'll sit on you, or what he's doing, the Chris Rock routine. Is that going to fall under the same umbrella?
You opened Pandora's box of banning and censorship and whatnot. Now, any one fucking Nancy Brown who calls up the cunt off about that, they will ban it, and they'll pat themselves on the back. Instead of one little disclaimer is all they needed, dude. Yeah. And they are absolute fools for doing that.
And in some circumstances, to your point, RBV, it's already happened. My wife and I, a few months ago, we had never seen 30 Rock, and we wanted to go through and watch the series, but there was at least 4 episodes that just were completely gone. So there's kind of a loss of continuancy as you're watching.
Did they really take 30 Rock episodes off of there?
At least 4. Yeah, at least
Holy
4.
Wow. Fuck.
Yeah.
Holy.
And so I'll never have a chance to see those, I guess. But yeah, it's like, really, instead of just having a trigger warning, or something like that. And to me, it's a wise man once told me, I don't remember who it was. It said, don't always play to the height of the audience's intelligence. I don't know who told me that.
I might have repeated it, but it was told to me. It was told to me by improv masters.
But to imply that an audience is just going to be ignorant of the fact that these things occurred just by not putting them on there, I think is almost a worse crime, because you're pretty much staying as I see from Stevie down there, pretty much saying that, oh yeah, this didn't exist. It never happened. Y'all never saw it. And it's like, how stupid do you think your audience is? If anything, this was an opportunity. If you really, clearly they thought there was a problem with the footage. And as you say several times, you lean into that, then have a documentary side of it and have the Hurt Business go on there and talk about why this was wrong and why things are different today, and, acknowledge it. To just imply that things didn't happen, I think you're just insulting the intelligence of your audience. And at the end of the day, that's not going to win you any more viewers. I think, to at least acknowledge it and put it, and not necessarily put it over, but to talk about it, open up that conversation. If it's so wrong, then let's hash it out instead of just ignoring it and sweep it under the rug and say, nope, this never happened. I feel like that's the wrong move. And it would have been a simple move to go the other way and potentially actually gain some traction and actually gain some goodwill from people who realize, well, applaud to them for realizing the stuff they were putting on in the past was wrong for them to do and for bringing it up.
It becomes a learning tool at that point. When you ban it, now you're just going down a road where everybody knows. I mean, the word Nazi's thrown around so much, but this is the modern day book burning, even if it's at a low level comedy shit. And comedy and satire is the excuse. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's where once we start limiting thought and offensive speak, now there is no America. They're like, well, you can't say fire in a crowded. Yeah, I can yell fire in a crowded theater if I want to, but I'm going to pay the fucking price for it. So if we know that somebody's going to yell it, just put the disclaimer up. When somebody yells fire, there really isn't one. Don't worry. Like, that's all it takes, instead of cutting out years and years of art. And especially the people you're trying to convert after paying $1 billion, they're going to hold your feet to the fire. And the people aren't just going to start watching wrestling who didn't before, now that the offensive stuff that might trigger you is out of it, bro. No, we want the offensive because our lives are so whitewashed that the comedy parody time of doing something along those lines. I mean, Dave Chappelle's show's got to go. Chappelle's show has to go. You want to talk about offensive and using parody at its highest to show you that words don't do shit. You know what I mean? Except wake us up.
Yeah, if we're just having to erase things, I think the late 90s just didn't exist.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
God. I was going to say, what are they going to get there and twist the narrative? You know, like manipulate the video where, since we had Stevie here with us, where Right to Censor is the biggest baby faces in history.
Is left. And I mean, I'm fine with that, I guess. But yeah, dude, that is absolutely the lunacy of where they're going. And at the end of the day, who are the three people that are making these decisions, and how do we show them Jesus's pain? How do we get them tacked up to a cross and a rib in their sides? And I guarantee they're not going to zombie rise on the third day.
You know, the fact that we went from that to Easter egg and jelly beans, I feel like there's a gap of information somewhere between those two things. I feel obliged to bring that up at least.
I think. The people still want the truth. That's as phony as anything wrestling wise. A guy fucking who should be able to shoot lasers out of his eyes and kill all the Romans instead lets himself get whipped, put thorns on, tacked to a cross, stabbed in the ribs, dies. Instead of fucking going, no, I'm an X-Man and I'm going to fucking destroy all you. Or he can heal everybody else.
The whole point was he had to go through that.
That makes more sense than he was dead, put in a tomb. They definitely didn't come back, roll the stone away, and take his body out of there. He just up and rose, and some girl fanatic said, I saw him who wanted to be important. No, that story of him coming back as a zombie and then nobody knowing what happened to him afterwards, that's way more believable than roll the rock and let's go snatch his body.
Are we talking about Jesus or the Undertaker?
Yeah, either one at this point, bro. Both of them are like, I'm sure Jesus, if he came back, would be taking pictures with his family to get it on the cover of People magazine for $75,000, just like
those Jesus cameos.
Yeah, Jesus cameos selling big time.
Say what you will, but I tell you, Jesus Christ, he was the greatest baby face of all time. However, you know why he was the best baby face of all time? It's because he had a great heel to work with.
He's still a draw. He makes a shit ton more money than anybody else. That's true. But all these phony stories, and how long till they rewrite that one? I think Italians should go, you know what? I don't like the Easter story because it makes us look bad, and we can fucking get rid of that from history too.
Well, actually, as Beast was talking about how do we get bunnies, and we got eggs and all this involved here. And actually, there is a link, because that actually was all sampled from the original. It was from the pagan holidays, and they were trying to transfer everybody over to Christianity. So they brought over some of those symbolisms and those customs so those people would feel more comfortable making that transition, because it was a pagan holiday about spring is rebirth and and new life and all of that.
We definitely need all that bullshit in our lives instead of just going, oh, the plants are growing.
Yeah. Well, speaking of censorship, I did want to touch on this real quick. I'll take it with a grain of salt. I don't know how accurate they are, but Fightful Select had reported that list of words for promotional partners not to use. I have the list here. I just wanted to at least go over those while we're here. The banned term lists for the promotional partners include blood, choke, belt, strap, diva, headshot, trauma, kayfabe, mofos, house show, DQ, the anti-diva, spinal injuries, victim, violence, violent, wrestling, wrestlers, WWF, wife beater, curb stomp, needs a push, to be over, babyface heel, job, jobber, card, strangle, kill, and murder.
But 2 weeks ago, Daniel Bryan said, I'm going into business for myself.
Oh, he's done.
I'll say, is that a list of banned words or a Don Callis promo?
I pop here for this, Lawrence Weaver. I know you're passionate, but this is an ignorant statement. They aren't rewriting the Bible. Not going to happen, except for when they did it during the King James version, when they re-released it 14 different times with new fucking verses. And then the Mandela effect, changing lions into wolves as well. So Bible will be rewritten constantly and forever for those in power to
reinterpreted. Yeah, was what they'll say.
Constantine the Great also rewrote the Bible. You might want to take a look into history, and if you think they're not even going to try and rewrite it, they're going to try and get rid of it, which is about the only thing that I support the New World Order in. But yeah, man, all those banned words. You hear Vince McMahon in Samoa Joe's headset, and the words come right out of his mouth, as phony as they could possibly be. So I'd say not banned words, banned free speech and free thought. My hand's going up your ass and I'm going to work you like a fucking puppet, because that's pretty much what we're seeing in every promo, from Shane to AJ to commentary desk. Like, why would anybody even have a chance to say those words? They're not even getting to say anything themselves.
It's very true. And you're very right. This could be just the way it's going to go and continue to go. I'm hopeful, again, maybe I'm wrong, that this is part of the pendulum shift that, 20 years ago, everything was okay. Then now nothing's okay. And hopefully 20 years from now, we'll be back to people realizing the price of censorship is not one that's worth paying. And we'll go back to everything's okay again. But time will tell.
I don't think you can, Beast. Once you open Pandora's box of censorship and along these lines, there's no way to stop it. That snowball is tumbling down the hill and is going to cause an avalanche of ignorance.
Maybe so. I guess time will tell. I'd like to think that people who are still, you're still not going to change the thoughts of people who appreciate free thought. They are going to find a way to still be able to converse and have a community. Now, will they be able to grow and flourish? I don't know. Definitely not right now, but in time, it depends on where the almighty dollar goes. If people aren't going to, people stop paying their hard-earned money because they're tired of the censorship bullshit, I think that will change things eventually, but it's going to take a long time for the dollars to start changing hands.
Here's another one. Lawrence Weaver, I appreciate you in the chat room with this. You want to talk about banned from it? Where's the Book of Enoch in your Bible? Let's talk about what the Nazis booked and burned. Do you think that some of the information that was lost forever from them came back around, and we're talking 80 years later? Do we get that information back? I don't think we did. I think there's plenty of books and works of art and literature that are lost to ever because of ignorance and banning along those lines.
There is a great, it's a history channel. I believe it's like a 3-parter, so it's like 3 hours, but it's called Banned from the Bible, and it goes through all of those books, and it talks about why they were removed because they didn't fit certain agendas and things like that. It's pretty interesting watch.
So when people say when we have these quick reactions, they'll never change the Bible. They'll never ban the work of God. Oh, okay. Sure they won't. Keep donating to that roof fund. Keep donating to that Thunderdome fund. Well, yeah, get the cock.
Well, yeah, remember what I told you, when my grandmother passed away, we're at the service there, and they have an information sheet out, and I happened to be able to take a look at that thing. They're Southern Baptists. And these things they're magnificent buildings, these structures they're putting together, and they're everywhere. The church that she belonged to, just for the month of December this past year, it was like $61,000 that they collected.
Tax-free. Didn't pay a cent on it. And where did that money go?
You know what? We're in the wrong business.
Yeah, we sure are, man. Hallelujah. I think we're pretty close to the end here. Beast, I appreciate you joining us today. I know you had a lot going on, hopping down the bunny trail all week. But what do you got going down this week, man? Anything cool? I know we got a Hustler Rip Rogers in the can still out there. So, the new episode is out. I watched it. It was excellent as always, man. Great work.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Well, of course, making the old ladies do some squats, as well as I mentioned this project a few months back. We're finally getting some progress moving forward. It's not anything related. In fact, it's probably the antithesis of what we do in the Monday Locker Room, but it's actually working on a mental health program for kids. One of my good friends, he's mental health counselor, and actually coming up with almost like I don't want to say Mr. Rogers because I feel like that sets such a high pedestal, but basically trying to have a similar approach in that he's trying to find ways to use puppets to talk to kids and teach lessons about how to, empower themselves as kids to be able to accept things like, anxiety and fear and stuff that unfortunately in the world we live in today seems to be more and more perpetuated by the media that we consume. And so he wants to try to get out ahead of it because we're seeing more kids, having issues like that. And so I'm excited that we've got a couple pilot classes that we're working with, and it's responded really well. And hopefully before too long, we'll be able to get some funding to do more and get it out to more cities and states and across our goal is by the fall to at least have a few schools that are running this as part of their curriculum.
I like that.
Working on that this week.
Remind me later because I have there's a girl I went to college with who's a puppeteer, and she actually just got one of her creations on Sesame Street as a full-time character.
Awesome.
Wow.
So she may have some good connections there. Lindsay Briggs is her name, and she is a great artist and has been working on puppets since I remember we were in college. She had kind of started into it, but she's really, and that's such a niche, you know what I mean? Kids entertainment wise, I'm sure there's going to be some connections there we can help to help with that project. But that's wonderful, dude.
Very cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, we'll definitely have to reach out.
Lindsay Briggs is how you say. Awesome, man. I got to do some squats today myself because I put on that Instagram. I see our boy Twinkle Toes Martin Evans, squat daddy, baby. He's down 100 pounds.
Oh yeah, he looks, man. I saw the vid of him. Yeah, he's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, dude, I'm real happy for him because I would see him a year or two ago. I'd be like, man, Twink's packed it on, but he made a life change and follow him. My old roommate and Man Beast's old arch nemesis in Derby City Wrestling and OVW, Twinkle Toes Martin Evans, great BBC announcer as well. So you've heard him on here a couple times, a sweetheart of a dude, but inspiring every day to get our friends and our fat asses up off the couch and do some extra workouts, man. RBV, I can't tell you how happy I am to see you, buddy, to be honest with you.
I feel amazing. Glad to be back. Ready to felt good today. Ready to keep rocking and rolling. And you know what? Despite the the lack of enthusiasm here for this week, I'm really going to try to settle in and get excited about a super stacked, packed week of wrestling from all the promotions. I mean, we've got shows left and right. So this is a time, if you're a wrestling fan, to try to find something you enjoy out there because there's something for everybody.
How about the fact when they were like, Cody even said, we're not jumping on WWE's WrestleMania weekend, but don't they have a show on the night in Jacksonville?
They're running. Yeah, I think, on the 9th, they're running that private show there in Jacksonville. You've also got the Dynamite, obviously, for their television. But then you have, this isn't this weekend, we got Swan and Omega on Sunday afternoon.
As well.
They're running the Impact show at like 3:00 that day.
So this is making more sense. 'Cause I remember hearing that they were putting on a live event or a house show, if you will, in Jacksonville. And my first thought is, so they're going to have the audience that gets to come every week and watch TV, watch the same people at the same venue, but not on TV. But if it happens during WrestleMania weekend, I can see the point of that because you hopefully have people in town that usually aren't in town and they get a chance to see AEW and WWE on the same weekend. Have
you guys ever done something? I've actually wanted to ask you guys about this. I forgot to put it in my notes. You really see every WrestleMania weekend now with the return of fans, and I go through, my social media feeds and the pro wrestlers, the indie wrestlers that I interact with, you always see so many of the workers heading towards the hub of WrestleMania and looking to pick up work for those indie shows. Have you guys ever done that? I know you've traveled to watch WrestleMania, but have you ever gone down there for like work reasons, trying to pick up as many shows as networking or anything like that?
That kind of started in the last 5 to 8 years, I'd probably say. And I haven't done that where it's like, oh, get on Joey Janela's show or Wale's hip hop. Fucking spectacular. To be honest with you, that was kind of the cool kids. And not that I worked hard to try and get that spot, but that was like this weird pro wrestling gorilla, that the foundation of AEW with these, workers who have a little niche, but they still really don't get how this business is done. And it got over as popularized the Carney Comic-Con shows and shit on wrestling. Well, then you get to go to WWE and see the way it's supposed to be done. Here's the offshoot little bastardized brand that we'll have a party with. And I'm glad they make their money doing that, piggybacking off of it. But I've never been on any show WrestleMania weekend. What?
I said maybe it should be worth maybe next year look into it. I mean, we know we have enough contacts, and I feel enough of a group of people that we could probably put on our own little shindig of wrestling / comedy / convention type show.
Well, it's a Russo. It would be a Russo brand Hameen Media Group joint production.
Yeah. Where, so who knows? Maybe next year. Where are they at next year?
Dallas.
Okay. Who knows? Maybe it'll get hot in Texas.
But I haven't. I've maybe worked 1 or 2 shows that were kind of around that weekend in the Northeast, but nothing in conjunction in the same city with that. But if you're going, you guys have a great trip. It's WrestleMania. So hopefully you're hanging with your boys or your family and make it a memory that'll last, because they will, regardless of the build. It's about the experience. And this might be one of the best WrestleManias to go to if you're trying to meet stars, because they're going to be a third less people there than it'll be a little bit more intimate of a setting. But I'm sure people will have fun. We'll be here covering it all. I had a good time with Rad Rob too, talking about the Mega Powers, doing a whole look back at the Mega Powers feud. That'll be part of our WrestleMania week Rad Rob coverage. So appreciate him doing all those
something every day from Rad Mania coming at you, kicking off today with a sit down. It was myself, obviously Rad Rob, Carl Carroll from Turnbuckle Talk, and Paz from Two Man Power Trip, as we looked at Warrior Savage.
Yeah, a great time, and hopefully it's not going to outshine what's going on with buckets of slime and hopscotch, because that's what we've been saying.
You know what, really, for all the, against the work rate of Warrior, throw that all out the window. It doesn't matter. I mean, that match had everything from the intrigue, the charisma, the characters. As we're talking about, rewriting history there, what's amazing in that match, and we commented on there, is you've got 16,000 plus individuals cheering every time that Warrior just knocks Sherry on her ass without a second thought, without giving it any thought to outside of it. Was just, hey, you know what? This bitch deserves this.
She had the heat coming at that time too, man. There's no doubt about it. I agree. Frank's Pickle Barrel asks Katie Forbes hopscotch would be over. That's something we're going in on. But I'm glad to be back here post holiday with 2 of my favorite HMG crew, man. Rick, I want you to stay healthy. I want you to stay on that path, and because we want you around us for a long, long time, buddy. And that was a big scare for all of us. I'm glad you got the rest you needed. And please, dude, anytime you need to take a break, you need to reach out, just let me know, dude. Absolutely. Because you're an essential asset here and a 2-man power trip at the racetrack, and for all of our fans, especially with Jargo as well. I mean, you're his tag team partner. We got to keep that strong. We're not breaking that team up anytime soon, like the Hurt Business. And the Beaster Bunny, man, we go back day one, as always, dude. One of my favorite monikers that I think I've ever laid down was the Beaster Bunny. And we're trying to play to the height of our intelligence as I speak out my ass on African-American community issues, and as a raging atheist in the face of the most Christian holiday. I thank you guys for putting up with my bullshit as always. But that's what we do, is party and bullshit and party and bullshit. It's the Monday Locker Room Infidels, RBV, Dr. Ted, and Hacker Hameen. It's WrestleMania week. Yallah.